Good morning, everybody. Good morning. It's me, Mitch. And we made it. Yay, we made it to Friday. TGIF. I'm put another week under my belt, as did we all, and evidently Kilts and Company has too. They're wrapping it up over there. And we're just waking up over here. How's everybody this morning? So I'm going to assume the Kilts is almost done. I'm going to bring it in-house as people start to amble in. And first order of business, of course, find your coffee, raised cup. This cup today says, if at first you don't succeed, try doing what Mitch told you to do the first time. I love this. I love this cup. At any rate, drink it if you got it. Let me let that sink in for a second. Kilts is dancing over there. They're still going. Yeah, Kelsey. You know, you brought the drawing up so early. I thought you were actually going to be done before I even started. Okay, they're waving goodbye and dancing. Nothing I like better than to see a happy crowd. Happy crowd first thing in the morning, and that's it. So we'll say adieu to Kilts and the gang, and Nelson and Alia and Aaron, their guest, and Sandy Blythe reminds me that blue is my color. I don't have a lot of blue. I don't have a lot of blue clothes. I have just one blue t-shirt, I think, maybe a couple of older ones, but I think that's about it. And I get a text first thing this morning from Robert Kilts. Said, love you, brother. Wow, isn't that great? Isn't that great? Let me text him back and let you in on the text. Hang on a second here. Let me get my voice typing going. Hit the thing and say, back at you, Kiltsy. Oh, it'll never spell that, and I knew it. I want to start over again because I typed everything I said. Back at you, comma, and I'll type KILTZY, exclamation point, and then I'm going to say, and I'm sending this text live in front of everybody, ... LOL. All right, there you go. That's great. I love it. And, okay, guys, I'll give the band the rest of the day off. Well, maybe I'll bring you back later, but for right now, pipe down. What a great way to start the day. What a great guy. I'll never stop saying that about my friend Robert Kiltz. Wow, wow, wow. What timing. What timing. I wonder if he's going to pop into the chat, or he's just going to watch like I do. I didn't say a word this morning. I watched his live stream, but I didn't chat away. I didn't chat in there, and that's my morning time, basically. I just kind of relax, kind of sit back, gather my thoughts. Not that I'm ever short on words or what to say, especially with you guys. Because even if I have nothing to talk about, if I have nothing whatsoever to talk about, all I have to do is start reading the chat. And bango, I'm in it. And I really had no preconceived ideas today. Today was one of those days where the alarm woke me up. Another cue from nature, cue from my body. I evidently needed a little more sleep. So I rushed around a little bit more this morning because I didn't get up till 10 minutes until 6. But I got the coffee made. I had Kiltz playing on the cell phone while I was doing all that. Then I went outside for about a half an hour, and I sat down and relaxed. It's kind of like my morning meditation time before the live stream, and I think it's a good thing. I think it's healthy. I think it's good for us. The only sad fact is it's still dark outside. And that's why I am so looking forward to the end of daylight savings time. I feel like sometimes the Grinch who stole Christmas with that attitude, because almost everybody else on the planet is mourning and unhappy about losing the hour a day late at the end of the day, while I'm celebrating a return to reality and normalcy and letting the sun be just starting to come up as I'm starting to come up, and then my circadian rhythms actually match that of the earth, which is the way I think it developed to be, and I'm happier and feel better. And then instead of just sitting in my dark screen porch watching TV first thing in the morning, I can actually go outside and get the first light of the morning sun in my face, maybe barefoot if it isn't pouring rain. So I'm looking forward to that, and thank God it's coming pretty soon. I think what is it, around the first week in November, maybe. But doesn't November sound so far away? God, what, isn't it April, May now? I'm not the only one who's confused. I was watching somebody on YouTube yesterday, and they were talking. I was on my live stream last night. It was Amy, I think, was talking about August, or thought it was July, then thought it was August, and I said, no, Amy, it's October, because it's crazy. Did somebody speed up the clock, and nobody else was watching? It looks like everybody's oh, well, Julia says, I feel a bariatric surgery rant coming soon. Is that about Kip's, all the comments about Kip's upcoming surgery? It's not my place to tell Kip what to do or even give him advice. Obviously, he's getting plenty of advice. There's no doubt about that. And obviously, he's going to do what he wants to do. Evidently, somebody convinced him that he's hopeless and helpless. Somebody convinced him that he's a failure and that there's no other way. he's got to be pretty beat down. Got to be pretty beat down and given up completely. But that's the place he's in. So how do you, how do you advise him? The best thing he can do would be to try to motivate him or give him a positive attitude. But I think he's been through all that if you've been following him for years. Well, good morning, Bob, Casey, Ariel, Professor Mitch. Bob Casey is one of my oldest, and I don't mean that he's old, I mean for the longest time, drone buddies from way back here on YouTube, in my YouTube days, back to 2018. And Bob is the man who named me in the drone community, Professor Mitch. And he started calling me Professor Mitch because I was always teaching something. And that name kind of stuck. It kind of stuck over there. So, good morning, Bob. How the hell are you, my friend? Hope you're well. I hope you're well. Good to see you in here. Glad you found me. It's been a while. Been a lot of water under the bridge. That's for damn sure. And one stroke on top of everything else. But it's always great to see the old guys come in. It's like having old relatives visit you. At any rate, I can't comment any more than that on Kip's decision. If you ask Robert Sivas, he doesn't. He is a bariatric surgeon. He does bariatric surgery. He doesn't try to change his patient's mind, and he, in fact, has said many times on his live streams that there are times when nothing else will work, and you have to fall back on that. And it's the same thing with so many of these doctors in our space these days who are actually prescribing GLP-1 agonists, semaglutide, anywhere from microdosing on up as a crutch. Now, if I had to pick one of those two options as a last-ditch effort, I would probably pick the drugs over the surgery. If the surgery is just a gastric band, that's not irreversible. But a Roland wire or some of those other procedures where they actually dissect the stomach itself are not reversible. And that would have to be a absolutely last-ditch effort. And what's causing the problem? You have to, why can some people, no matter how hard they try or how much, how can they be so unhelpable, so unable? And of course, the answer is obvious. It's addiction. It's hormonal. They're not getting the signals. They're not getting the satiety signals. It could be a genetic problem. It could be a wild imbalance in their neurotransmitter system. It could be anything. It could be a cholesterol issue where maybe they're on a statin for some reason and the precursors necessary to make some certain hormones aren't there. Could be a lot of things. But it is something. And that's what we have to try to keep in mind. That just because it's not happening to us doesn't mean it's not real and has a cause. And poor old Kip is helpless to fight the physiology of urges and addiction. And that's very real. But we tend to be very judgmental about everything, especially if it doesn't apply to us. And I always use the fact that I don't drink. I never did. Don't like alcohol. I have no need for it. Don't feel any cravings. I turn down drinks when they're offered to me without a thought about that they're not any good for me. It's just, no, I don't want that shit. I don't like it. Get it away from me. I don't even like the smell of it. I'm not the guy to criticize an alcoholic for his weakness. I'm not the guy that couldn't possibly understand what he's going through. Those of us that are carb addicts and have found that we have no conscious control over cravings and have found methods and ways to fix whatever it is in chemistry that's causing those cravings, because they are real and they're necessary, and that is the mechanism that compelled our ancestors to get off their ass and get out of the cave and go chase animals, even at their own life's peril. We can understand that, but when you do have some kind of a physical problem that's causing chemical imbalances that cause wild swings in these hormones, you can't blame poor Kip for reacting with uncontrollable urges to eat carbohydrates. Now, has the medical community approached it from a scientific standpoint to find his root cause? Because do doctors really think about what I just said? Do they really think that way? Or, like so many in the medical community, they just say to their patient, well, I've told you to do the right thing, and you're just not doing it, so it's your fault. And do they blame the person with the medical problem for weakness? Because that's what they do to dieters, because they know it's all about calories in and calories out and move more. They know that. So if you don't restrict your calories and exercise for 4 hours a day, you're a lazy sloth, according to them. They're doctors. They're supposed to be biologists. Why aren't they thinking it's not this person's fault? He's a victim here of something that's broken, and I'm the doctor, and I'm supposed to ferret out, diagnose, and treat, and maybe even fix what it is that's broken and solve his problem. Not beat him and whip him and call him names and make him cry. That'll just make it worse. You go out and stuff his face full of Twinkies, he's so upset. And we're supposed to respect these people. Wow, Rant Man rears his ugly head, or his pretty head this morning. Wow. So that's my commentary about Kip. But I can't help Kip. But I do believe that if I had any advice to give him, and I'm not a doctor and I may be wrong, but I would say leave the surgery as the last thing you try. You can stop taking medicine, but you can't uncut yourself. So that would be my advice to Kip. And I have great compassion. I've watched him struggle. And I wish him the best. And that we should all pull for him. That's what I think. First in this morning or last night was Tuka. Said first for once, how you doing? Michael Pregler, how are you? Mary M was third. Feral Grandma Nancy, how you doing this morning? Good to see you. And Jerry was here in the middle of her forest. TGIF, we made it. Yes, we did. Yes, we did. And Lady Jane from England, good morning to you. Mike Sealy Sr., first one in this morning at 4. Man, I was sound asleep at 4:20 a.m. And Brian Dish, good morning to Mitch and the Mitch Fits. Another week down for 2025. Yeah, it looks like 2025 is almost down. Wow, it makes me crazy. Patty's Garden. Hiya, Patty. Fixing to make some coffee and drink my L-lysine. Good for you. Good for you. Catching up on the news. And I've got a number of people have actually commented to me, and I've read them all, that they've noticed appreciable differences after just doing the leucine thing in the morning. And my opinion is, there's no way it could hurt you. You're getting leucine in almost every animal product you eat. It's just an amino acid. It's not some kind of synthetic drug. And this stimulates muscle protein synthesis. That's what leucine does, whether you get it as a supplement or you get it in the food. And I don't think you can overdose on it, not if you just do the 5 grams a day. You don't even need to put it in your coffee. That's just kind of a strategy to get it to work better. But that's great to hear. Great to hear. Great to hear that. I'm flattered people. I don't like to give advice, but I'm flattered people say, well, Mitch did it, maybe I ought to try it. That's confidence in me. Rick, Charger Mopar chimed in. How you doing, Rick? We had a great live stream last night. We really did, the private community live stream. We had a great time. Finally shut it down after an hour and a half. I've given up on the 1-hour live streams. I don't have it in me. I just talk too much. And we all talked too much last night. But we had a great time. Rick was there. Kurt was there. Broken Carnivore was with us, and Rockin' Coach Amy was there. Amy was with us. She was the sole female. Peter chimed in. Greg Smith from his truck in Atlanta, Georgia, joined us. I did say, Rick, we had a great time. We had a great time. My friend Barry Simon, who used AI and came up with Rant Man for me, came up with Quackman for Rick. And we debuted Rick's little few-second Quackman video. I'm not going to do that here this morning. I want to leave that up to Rick to debut it on his live stream tomorrow morning, because it's his deal. In fact, I felt funny about doing it last night, but I asked Barry, have you sent it to Rick yet? And Barry wanted me to surprise Rick last night. Otherwise, I would have just let Rick debut it, because it's his deal. It's his superhero. And very few of us in this world have our own personal superhero, I got to say. Personal superhero. I mean, it is awe-inspiring and fills you with pride. So let Rick feel that tomorrow morning. It's funny, though. It's cool. Rick says good morning from Miami. And Robbie Autry checked in a little early this morning. Lucy Ward, good morning, Lucy. Glad to see you coming back. And Chris Swain from Australia. Mike Shirley Sr. got out of bed. 6:40. Yeah, hi, Michael. How are you? Tammy Batarch is here. Me, Cool Cat. Everybody's shooting for 7 now. Robbie Autry a little bit early. And the winner this morning, Brian Dish. Brian, congratulations. In the end, man, you guys are getting right in between Lambs and Robbie. Oh, wow. It's getting to be a real close race in the morning. Congratulations. Jeff Cheslak checked in. Aaron is here. Hi, Aaron. How you doing? Jerry came back in at 7, and Marla Kelly. And Who is this here? Oh, it's Jerry again. Kamenard Mitch. Good morning from Texas. Good morning to you, partner. Mudbone. Larry's here with us. And Juliet. Hiya, Juliet. How are you? Hope you enjoyed the live stream last night. Good to see you. Good to see you this morning. And I'll allow Rick to have his shameless plug for his live stream tomorrow morning. Friday, the day before Quack Day. So Rick's got a day of his own now, too. Not just a superhero, but there's an actual day. We have to stop calling it Saturday. I'll let the world know, Rick. Good luck with that. That they need to start to... what would the 3-letter designation for Quack Day be? That's going to be your responsibility to come up with the 3-letter name for Quack Day. Sandy Blythe. Hi, Sandy. How you doing? Good to see you. And Mkai. Mkai is here. Mkai is good. Mkai. Lori Whitesall. And Robert Kiltz, MD. Oh, man. I didn't get to say hi to him, but I did text him back, and he's probably not around anymore, but maybe he is. I don't know. I haven't seen it. I haven't been looking at the live chat. I've just been pontificating about Kip and everything, but it's neat to have him pop in. God love that man. May not agree with everything that comes out of his mouth, but I love him. No, what a great human being. Nelson, too. Man, they made Nelson the director. What is he? The medical director? Director of medicine, right? Wow. Impressive sounding. And, boy, they're building something. And I admire them, but I don't want to work that hard anymore at my age. I want to have fun and coast. I've already resigned myself to the fact that what I do now is about what I'm going to do. And some recipe videos and live streams. And I got another text. Oh. It's Gilts. He's listening. How about that? Okay. If you're listening, anytime, just call me. I'm always available. I can always do that and be happy to. So, Giltsy, talk to you later. At the end of my live stream, I'll text you back in case you really aren't listening, but I'm glad you're listening. And yeah, you know, that's the thing about good friends. My best friend in the world was a man named Stan Post. He was my dentist. He was 10 years older than me, but I'd known him for 30 years. I loved that man, like a brother. I mean, he was my best, and he and I, we just clicked where we became each other's consigliere, like in the mafia. We could counsel each other on our most intimate and deepest concerns and worries, and always know there'd be no judgment or anything, only love and the sincere desire to help each other. I never found that in another human being in my life, not in my spouses, not even in my parents, because you couldn't tell your parents everything, but I did with Stan. Stan was my bromate, if you want to use a male version of soulmate. He and I were connected. Stan died in 2013 of pulmonary fibrosis. And in a way, I've kind of felt lost without him since then. Until you, Kelsey. And we don't know each other that well. Nowhere near as well as Stan and I knew each other. But I get that same feeling. So consider me your consigliere. That's easy to say before a stroke than after. And there's nothing that you can't ask me or talk to me about. And I will always give you an honest take on how I feel about it, whether it might be wrong, right, or you disagree or not. I'm not going to blow air up your skirt and tell you what you want to hear. And I hope you do the same for me. I really do. Because how else would we stay on a path unless we had somebody that helped us paint the dotted lines of what that path might best be? Because none of us knows it all. So, hope you heard that. I mean that. And it's good to have another Stan in my life. And I hope that our friendship develops that way. I really do. I really do. Where was I? I was at Robert Kiltz, MD. Yes, Linda McDaniel. Good morning to you. And blue is your color, says Stanley. Yes, I need to go out and buy some more blue T-shirts, I guess. We kind of tend, like I said the other day, we tend towards black in this carnivore influence. You know, you see a lot of black shirts. In fact, every time Kelsey wears a white shirt, I almost don't recognize him. I have to do a double. No, I'm kidding. I recognize him in a white shirt. It just doesn't look the same. Amy says, this is interesting in the current chat, I don't get satiety signals either. That's why I gained on carnivore. Luckily, I'm able to white knuckle through when I'm hungry. I think if you we talked about this last night, Amy, and I really believe it. You might be onto something. You just cut the volume of food you eat down. You'll adapt to that pretty soon, and you won't have to, I don't think, do quite as much white knuckling as your chemistry catches up with it. D Lush. Somebody, I don't know. D Lush 38, a new name. I have to look close to make sure I was reading that correctly. Black goes with everything. Yes, it does. Yes, it does. Black does not go with orange. Says DS 111. Well, you must be anti-Halloween then. Are you a Halloween bigot? Black is not a color. If you really want to be anal about it, black is the absence of color. And white is all the colors mixed together. And everything else in between is just a different combination of all the colors. Peter said, good morning, about 7 o'clock. I'm way back 7 o'clock in the chat. And everybody, there's good morning, Dr. Kiltz. Coffee is good on this. Says Matthew Tremblay, coffee is good on this Friday morning. Coffee is good every morning. And it's good this morning. And today I'm going to try out my new meat tenderizer thing on a piece of chuck roast and try to make it finally, successfully, for once in my friggin' lifetime, try to make it as good as a ribeye so that we can start eating more meat again because we can afford it. That has to be a push. Cheap carnivore has to be a priority for us now. Otherwise, they are pricing us right back into poor health, which I think is a conspiracy. Whether it's been an organized conspiracy or not, I think that the market forces and the propaganda and the food companies are doing everything they can. And if you can't win the buyer, you have to destroy the competition. If you can't win over the buyer's money, you have to destroy the buyer's alternative. And that's what's happening to us. We're carnivores. We want to eat meat. They're failing with all their vegan propaganda and all that other bullshit. They're failing at getting us to abandon carnivore and go back to buying their overpriced, huge margins and profits, breakfast cereals, and junk food. So what's left? Well, if we can't get them to stop eating meat, we'll do everything we can and use every dirty trick in the book to make it so that meat can't be found. Yeah. That's what we'll do. We'll starve them out, and they'll have to come back to our shit. And that's what they're doing. That's what's happening. And the price of animal products is going crazy, and they're always got some reason why the egg prices have tripled. And a ribeye is $20 a pound now. When a year and a half ago, you could buy it for $6 a pound on sale. That's not inflation. And if you don't think that kind of thing is going on in this space for years and years, you have to only look back at Ansel Keys and John Yudkin. John Yudkin says sugar is the problem. Ansel Keys says fat is the problem. Ansel Keys was a more powerful, better connected American member of the government agencies, and John Yudkin was a British doctor, nobody. Ansel Keys couldn't logically, realistically knock down John Yudkin's argument that sugar is the problem, not fat, meat, and cholesterol. So he launched public relations campaigns, smear campaigns against Yudkins, and pretty much destroyed the guy's career and credibility. Even though Keys was wrong and Yudkin was right, he used the same tactic they're using on us now. If you can't make a convincing, logical argument with proof to show why your way is better, then just eliminate their way. So it's not around anymore. And then you become the default. And that's what's going on. Do I have some super insight? I think it's obvious. I think it's obvious. I don't see the price of breakfast cereal going up 300% in a year. But the price of McDonald's and some of these places that people consider to be meat, sources of meat, they're going crazy. I don't know. It just seems obvious to me. I don't think it requires all that much research to try to figure out exactly, because, again, we can't do anything about it anyway. We can only try to adapt. The market might take decades to finally settle out. But in the meantime, we need to find ways that we can continue to afford to eat a healthy lifestyle. I know chicken is okay. Chicken thighs are cheap as hell. That's market demand right there. Chicken wings aren't cheap, but chicken thighs are cheap. So why do chicken wings cost 4 times what a chicken thigh costs per pound? Well, I could tell you, but it's simple. It's people. There's restaurants devoted to making wings. Wings are what you eat in football games. You can put all kinds of crap sugary seasoning on wings. It's becoming a thing. So the wings are super expensive. Who the hell wants a chicken thigh? Have you ever seen a restaurant named Thighs? Hot Thighs? That would almost be insensitive and maybe a little demeaning to women to call a restaurant Hot Thighs. You might think it's a strip club, but nobody wants them, so we got a choice. Well, we can throw them away, grind them up into something, feed them to the animals, which would probably be good for the animals. Or we can package them up. Don't work too hard. Leave all the skin on them. Thank goodness for that they leave the skin on it. The more skin, the better. That's what makes it great and healthier. And we'll sell them for $1.25 a pound. And I'm starting to eat more and more of them. I really like them in the air fryer. Oh, wow, they get so crispy, and there's so much good stuff in that skin, so much collagen and fat. It really is pretty healthy. Maybe one of the better substitutes for some of these really fabulously expensive proteins. You seen the price of halibut and salmon these days? This stuff is going crazy. So maybe we need to be eating more pork and chicken thighs. And I'm going to try to start investigating and experimenting with ways to take beef, especially cheap cuts of beef, like brisket, chuck. And even though it's been done and done and done and done, you can always slow cook them. But we want to eat a steak. We want to eat, you can grind up chuck, but now chuck is $7, $8 a pound. And the hamburger, the price of ground beef is going to go up and hit that pretty soon. Right now it's about $5 a pound when you buy the frozen patties, but it won't be too long before it's $10 a pound. That's not inflation, that's manipulation. Sorry, that's my opinion. I'm going to stick to it. Danny Android, good morning to you from Louisiana. And Juliet says, Dr. Kilt's in the house, and I am all the way up to about 7:09. Kevin P., how you doing? Florida, Sunshine, Michael Smith. All these new people I don't know. T-Pain Golf, how are you? Good morning to you. Loretta Nadow is here, and I'm going to stop saying hello. Ask some questions if you got some questions. Here's Peter explaining the Kip situation. Kip posted a video yesterday saying he's decided to do major gastric bypass surgery to address his weight issues. Unfortunately, if he doesn't address his sugar addiction, well, see, again, that's what I was talking about, Peter, and you're right. You're right. You will gain the weight back. I know people who had the surgery and ended up much heavier than before. And one of the reasons is that all of these gastric surgeries do only one thing, and they reduce the amount of food that it takes before you feel full. It's all about the full feeling. And you stop eating because you're full up. You start eating any more than that, it starts to back up your esophagus. So what they tend to do, especially the flaming carb addicts among the gastric surgery patients, whether it be a resection of the stomach or a lat band or whatever it is, gastric bypass, I don't know. I'm not an expert on gastric surgery, nor do I want to be. I have no use for it as a concept or a practical matter. I feel a need for a sip and frame my words. What they do is they're sugar addicts. Unfortunately, sugar can give them an enormous boost with a smaller volume. In other words, they might be able to satisfy their cravings even by, and need enough sugar to really be harmful, even with the diminished capacity of the stomach. Whereas if they were trying to eat broccoli or potatoes, it'd be a different story. They don't have room for it. But you can cram a hell of a lot of sugar into something the size of a candy bar. Or a drink. Sugary drink or a soda. So they start focusing. They've done all this supposedly for their health, to lose weight. But then their addiction forces them to focus on those foods that they're craving. And they stop eating anything that resembles healthier food. Even if it's fruit and vegetables, it's still healthier than candy bars. And it happened to my daughter. And that's how I know this. I watched it. I was kicking and screaming all the way with her. She wouldn't listen to me. And that's my daughter. She had a band put in. Now, she's since learned her lesson, but it took years and years and years and years. And she had it reversed. And she's still fighting the effects of it and the damage it did and the weight she's gained. And she's still the same flaming carb addict that I am. I hate to think that that's my legacy to her, but she is. And I see Kip going through the same thing. I couldn't talk my daughter out of it. You're not going to talk Kip out of it. He's going to learn his lesson. And in 10 years, Kip is going to be heavier and still feeling sorry for himself. And nothing you, I, or anybody else is going to be able to do to change his mind. Because he got doctors that aren't thinking. They just know how much money they can earn doing a bariatric surgery. That's my opinion. Julia says, he's here, Mitch. He's here. He's everywhere. But he's listening. So he's in a place where he can't type. That's what I do most of the time. Most of the time. And everybody said good morning to him. Could I only be up to 704 in the chat? Oh, wow. All right, I got to get going. I said hi to a lot of people. Aaron, I see Aaron's there. Tuka, Lady June. Okay, good morning, guys. It's almost afternoon already, but good morning. And good to see everybody. Anthony's here. Let me look for a topic of conversation. MK says, let's see Rant Man. Okay. All right, MK, let me cue that up here. And I will show you Rant Man. Hang on 1 second. You ready? I'm ready. Cue the audio. Go to the screen. Push the play button. I have to do this because it's fast. I don't have it on a button or anything. Rant Man. I promised myself this morning I wouldn't overdo that. But I do accept requests. So, and by the way, I know it's late in the day. I do accept coffees too. It is Friday. Friday's a great day to buy me coffee because I'm not going to be around tomorrow. And I could use some coffee, extra coffee for the weekend. So let me put my, let me get a little shameless plug here and put my coffee link up there. And I'll throw it in the chat too. Because I would want anybody who has a burning desire to buy a Rant Man a cup of coffee this morning not have a way convenient to absolutely do that. But no pressure. I mean that. I joke about my shtick and my shameless plugs, but believe me. No pressure. I do mean that. I want to pin that. Let's see, where's the comment? There it is. Pin the comment and back to looking for a question. You know, it might be a good idea at this point, since it's 10 minutes to 8 already. to start at the bottom of the chat over here and go backwards and see. And that way I'll get questions from people that are still here. Like, let me take that off the screen so I don't leave it there all day like I did yesterday with Brian's good morning message. It sat there on the screen for a half an hour because I was busy looking at this chat. Too much to look at. Jerry Voitish, right here, says, always interesting at our Brazilian steakhouse meetings at how all of us carnivores get satiated at the same time. That is interesting. I kind of noticed that too. And you go for you eat meat at the speed and the volume that we eat at those places. It's tough to go more than 45 minutes before you just throw in the towel. And you don't throw in the towel at the Brazilian steakhouses. Got hiccups. You have a card. It's green on one side and red on the other. When it's green, it tells the guys with the meat on the skewers to come around and give you some. When you've had enough, you turn over your card and they leave you alone. But it's a veritable onslaught of meat. It's crazy. It's a meat orgy. Main runner. Donna Ray says, my sister is on both Monjuro and Jardius. You're kidding. Somebody needs to put her doctor in jail. No one asked me how I got fit and trim. I have a funny feeling that they kind of maybe know and don't want to work that hard. They want the quick fix because if you're going to try to sell something to the American public, sell them the quick fix. I don't want to know anything else about it. Just, can I have this under control by tomorrow? That's just human nature, I guess. So let me look back here and see if I see any questions. Questions. Oh, Kelsey is in there at 7:45. Oh, okay, good. Maybe Kelsey's in there. Still in here. That was only a few minutes ago. Chicken, fish, beef, best for kilts. Some coffee with Mitch now and a rare cigar. Kilts, you and I have yet to have a cigar together, and I'm really looking forward to that first time because I'm going to take multiple pictures, selfies with the two of us with billows of smoke coming out of our face. Kind of as a double barrel middle finger to all those people who give me such grief and unwanted advice about my cigar smoking. You may not want a picture of you like that out there, but I don't care about me. They can think about what they want to do, but I would love to have a cigar with you, my friend. And Rick and Barry are plotting improvements to the Duckman superhero character. I don't know, Barry. I don't know how to say this, and I don't want to say it to offend Rick because I think Rick will find this funny, but doing that for Rick, Barry, doing that for Rick is akin to pouring gasoline on a fire. Even the ducks think that's funny. Really, but we'll see. And no offense meant by that, Rick. Hey, questions here. I don't know why that one popped out to me, but it did. Chicken and pork are still affordable, says Peter, but beef is now so expensive. Hard for many to. I'm telling you, I'm holding my breath and hoping like hell that I can find some way to turn a chuck steak into a ribeye. I mean, when you think about it, they're like right next to each other in the cow. You know, you think that they're not all that different, but they are. In fact, if you buy a chuck roll, the whole chuck roll, right at the part of the chuck roll where they separate it, you usually can get 2 or 3 what they call chuck eye steaks. And those are fabulous because they're like where the ribeye left off. I'm going to work at it. We're going to see. I really, really hope I can get it done. I really, really hope I can get it done. And I'm going to experiment. Bob Casey's batting for me. He said hit the thumbs up. So I'm glad to see it. The chat, I'm not one of these people that encourages more chat entries so that YouTube will think I'm more popular than I am. A lot of people, they always say, leave a comment below. Tell us where you're from. Tell us where your city's from. Do you like to drink this? Tell us in the chat. Tell us yes or no. They just want that chat to blow up because that YouTube looks at that as an engagement and will promote the videos more. I'm the opposite. I don't want the chat to blow up with things that don't involve me and nothing. Not that I don't want you guys to talk about it, but I got to get through it if I'm trying to live up to my goals of not missing anything. And it just gets to be so hard. It gets to be hard work. So people are behaving themselves in the chat today. I appreciate it. I don't see a lot of questions. But then again, I don't get the kind of questions that the doctors get. Question. Do we know why Boyd laying past, says DOS 111? I haven't heard yet. I know the CB has been on a tear. He's been working so hard to try to find out what happened because that was so sudden. Boom. And Boyd was such a well-known member of this community and active. And all of a sudden he's just gone. And he was a young man and vibrant. And just gone. I don't know. And I don't know if anybody knows. That's life. He could have been run over by a bus. Which, of course, is a metaphor for something you never expected to happen. No matter how hard you plan, no matter how hard the steps you take to be careful and be healthy, that bus can always come out of nowhere. And that's usually what gets you. Let's see. Questions. Well, we made it to 8 o'clock. Almost. Anyway. Right. I think I don't see. I see Lewis is here. Good morning, Lewis. How are you? Yeah, Lewis agreed with me. He says you can always stop taking medication. Surgery is forever. Yep. You can't uncut yourself. Sometimes you do need surgery. I've had some surgeries in my life. Not as many as some, but I had, when I was 16 years old, I had a torn cartilage in my left knee. I never had any surgery until I got much older after that. I lived most of my life with no surgery, no bee stings, nothing. I was just started suffering as I got older from the effects of a poor diet, even though it really wasn't that poor, but very high in oxalates, which I didn't know. And I'm a sugar addict, so I yo-yoed up and down, up and down, up and down, and probably did damage to my body. But then I fell off a ladder, shattered my wrist in 5 places. I had to have a surgery on my wrist and go to therapy for my hand and physical therapy for months afterwards. And it healed very well, and I have no pain, no arthritis or anything from it, but just wrist here. And I have a metal plate, and a bunch of screws. Now, the metal plate isn't adding any strength to my wrist now because the bones have all grown around the metal in some way and knitted to where my surgeon, who was a great surgeon, by the way, great hand doctor, said to me, I said, well, do I have to baby this wrist now? I mean, is it fragile? He looked at me, he says, that wrist is now twice as strong as your other wrist. Between the plate, the screws, and the healing and the mending, and you're more likely to break your other wrist than this wrist. So that was good. So I don't baby it. I never did. And it's been fine. I've never had a single problem. I hate to say it, but the only thing is it sets off metal detectors. But we all should have a little, plate like that. I almost ended up with a steel plate in my head, to tell you the truth, when I had this brain surgery. But they managed to get the bone they cut out back in the same hole, and it seems to feel okay. It's a little wavy or bumpy, but I'd rather have that than a metal plate on my head. I'll become the Terminator. So I had the wrist surgery, and then I had a kidney stone. I had to go in and have that removed. Now, that's not really surgery because they don't cut, but they do. It is a procedure where they do some very unpleasant things to get to the kidney stone and get it out, and went through that. And then, of course, I had my head injury where they had to cut the side of my skull out, and I don't care who you are, I would consider that major surgery. And then there was that little episode with malignant melanoma cancer on my nose about 8 years ago where they had to cut the whole entire skin off the top of my nose. And that went okay. So I've been there with the surgery, and the last thing I would do is pick a surgical option to any problem that can be handled any other way. Sorry. If they never cut me again, that'd be too soon for me. Unfortunately, we can't know that. Can't know what we're going to need, but they don't hesitate to cut, that's for sure. And like Lewis just said, you can always stop drugs and other treatments, but you can't uncut yourself. Put your stomach back together. And we still don't know what procedure he's going to have, whether it's just a band. And they don't have to cut very much to do those things. They do them orthoscopically. I think I got the questions. All right, let's get back to let's race down there to the bottom. Boy, I'm sure they put wheels on a mouse, scroll wheels, because without that I'd be lost. And let's see, where did I leave off? Bob Casey. Okay, Bob Casey was saying goodbye to me. You notice how that showed up in red. And you can make it show up in red too on your chat if you just type at OldGuyCarnivore. And it'll do that. And you can do that on a computer keyboard with only a couple of keystrokes. When you type at and no spaces and then O-L, you'll see some windows pop up, and it'll have anybody's name that starts with O-L, and you can point to it with the mouse and click, and it'll automatically insert into the text at OldGuyCarnivore. And when you hit the enter key, what I see, that OldGuyCarnivore at sign thing will be replaced with a red box, which gets my attention. And that's how Peter, as a moderator, uses that trick to let me know. Now, I don't want people to overdo it, But you can. If you need to get my attention for something and you think it's that important, you can do that. It works good. He says, have a good day, Professor. Take the rest of the day off. I used to tell the drone guys that. I used to, at the end of my live stream, I always said, take the rest of the day off and go play with your drones. But that changed when I became a carnivore YouTuber. Got to get my day going, Carrot. Bob, great to see you, man. Great to see you. Thanks for coming in. And everybody's saying goodbye to Bob. See, we got a real friendly group here. I never had this kind of attendance on a drone live stream. I've got 20, 30 people, maybe 35 sometime. It's a much smaller community, but it was tight. It was tight, and had a good time. Had a good time. But you ask anybody in the drone community if they're happy about the way things have gone with our government and regulations and heat. You think the carnivores take heat from the vegans? You see the heat drone flyers take from virtually everybody anymore. It is, a campaign has been launched against the drone hobbyists by the interests like Amazon, all the big money, to clear the skies of these pesky little hobbyists so that we can have our delivery drones fall out of the sky on your head. And that's what it's all about. It's not about, I don't like the noise of the drones, because the delivery drones certainly are a lot noisier and a whole lot more of them than hobbyists. You're spying on my wife in the swimming pool. No, it's not about that. That's just propaganda again in a campaign, a smear campaign, to turn opinion against. Nobody ever got a drone, it's never taken out an airliner. It's all propaganda. And that propaganda, like I say, is everywhere in everything. Why does it have to be in everything I do? I don't know. But if I start doing it, you can bet somebody will start a movement against it. I don't care what it is. I must be a jinx. Peter, I think I know why your psychosis has come back. All right, we're going to leave Peter giving advice to people. And Rockin' Coach Amy said, who died? You weren't around here, Amy. It was Boyd Lamb. Boyd was a great member of this community. Very private man. So private, in fact, that nobody can find out anything about him, let alone even almost a picture of him. We've got CB found one frame on video on his YouTube channel, which was really not meant to be a YouTube channel for mass consumption, but he was into so many things. We didn't even know what he looked like. He was that private, and we certainly don't know how he died, but what a great guy, and what a great supporter of this channel, and a friend to this channel, and a help in promoting it. Lexi's here. Lexi, how you doing? Good to see you this morning. Glad you got involved in it. Mark Yost. Hey, Mark. Hey, Mark. How are you, Mark? Mark said Dr. Kilt's was a little alarming about his CAC score going up. I wonder why he got spooked. He is eating other meat now instead of, well, we've been talking about that for a couple of days, Mark, so I won't rehash that whole conversation. But if you watch yesterday's live stream of mine, I really spent most of the live stream talking about the psychology of all that. And we can't get into his mind and know. We can suspect what we would think if that happened to us, and some of us would react one way and some of us would react the other. I could go on for hours about what I think his thinking might be, but it's like anything else. Sometimes you get a little slap in the face and you have to figure out some way to come to terms with it, and that could be just a small change. But then again, if you're a thinking man, how do you know if that change actually did anything, or if it was just change for change's sake? At least you open to making it worse. Just because you change something doesn't mean it's going to make it better. So that's a personal thing. Personal thing that he's got to deal with and take input from everybody who he respects. But I have faith. I have faith in him. He's a smart guy. Very smart guy. And I believe that he will. What he's going through is absolutely normal. We've all done it. I've done it. Certainly did it after my stroke. Scared shitless about having another one. Your mind goes everywhere. You want to find out why. But then you settle down and the reality and things you've learned come back into focus. The first reaction is to change everything. It's never a good idea. You gotta slow down and analyze it. And that's what he's going through right now. And may require a few more tests to see, but that's the problem. What do these tests really tell us anyway? Are we reacting to a non-problem sometimes? If you feel good and you have no symptoms and you have all this energy and you're in a good weight and life is great and you feel healthy and you got a CAC score of 600 or 800, is it a problem? Who says? Are there real studies that are really valid enough and have been done long enough? No, not a one. Do they always come down when you nail them at it? I talked about this. Do they always finally get boxed into a corner and have to come out with the magic words? Well, nobody really knows for sure. Well, that's a sad, sad conclusion when you're trying to figure out if you're going to live or die because of some blood test result. And what, if anything, you can do about it. You're going to get all kinds of opinions. Most of them are biased, weighted, and a result of agendas and corruption and greed, but opinions nonetheless. And you're going to have to decide which ones of those opinions are valid. Well, it would be nice to have some evidence that that opinion relies on, but that's when they come out with, well, nobody really knows for sure. And when I look back at me and my doctors and my medical interactions, I would have to say that on the few occasions when a doctor finally got honest with me, that was the answer. Well, nobody really knows for sure. And if that's as honest as a doctor can get, they're useless in everything but trauma. You know, break an arm, screw it together. Love them for that. Stay out of my mitochondria, will you please, until you have something definitive to fall back on that wasn't paid for by the food and drug companies and their marketing departments. And the statistical manipulators that work for your company who can turn a 0.8% benefit for statins into a 40% benefit with some statistical magical trick called relative risk instead of absolute risk. And once we learn these tricks, you can't not notice them anymore. Thank you, Randman. All right, where was I? I'm going to try to get through this to the end now. Everybody's talking. Jojo is here. Hi, Jojo DSL, main runner. To everybody who says I am too skinny, I remind them that I could actually bolt across the street and get out of the way of a car. DS111, I love it when people say, yeah, we're too skinny. I say, God bless you. Thank you so much. That is a high compliment. I've been looking to hear that from my entire life. I, on the other hand, think I'm just right. But our society has got their their own normal range is so out of whack. Normal range for a human in most people's eyes is less than 200 pounds, more than 180 pounds. And that's a 5 foot tall woman. You do the math. So, you know if you're too skinny or not. What's your body fat? Even if you measure it, what's your body fat ratio? You got 15% body fat, 20% body, you're not too skinny. Maybe you could use a little more muscle, but you're certainly not too skinny where you would need to eat sugar and ice cream and all that crap and gain fat. Kathy's here. Papa Carnivore, maybe your doctor has become a secret carnivore. Some of these doctors are human too, and they have to be listening a little bit. I know my doctor at the VA doesn't argue with me at all. In fact, she came out and told me with something that I already knew. She said, well, you know, the VA has very strict guidelines. It's the government, and those guidelines are dictated by all the cholesterol is bad, and meat is bad, and all those other guidelines. And if we tell you anything different, if I recommend to you anything different, I'll lose my job. Just that simple. And I understand that. She also said to me, they require, it's in the regulations, that if you have a LDL of over 120 or something, I'm not sure about what that number is, but I must document in your record that I prescribed a statin. So, you know, just know whenever you come in here, you're always going to be prescribed a statin. I said, I don't care. You can prescribe me arsenic, whatever you want. I'm not going to take it, but you can prescribe it and do what you need to do to keep your job. And then she shuts up. And I lecture her for however long we got about the whys of eating the proper food. And I think she agrees. And I love her. She's a sweetheart. But every year when I go in there, I don't tell her this, and I hope she's not watching her. I doubt it she is, but she just gets bigger and bigger. Every year I go in there. Bigger and bigger. Fatter and fatter. She's not obese, but nothing like she was when I first met her about 10 years ago. And I notice these things. I'm not going to say them to her. But she obviously is not practicing what I preach. And sometimes I think we got the roles reversed. We'd both be better off. Well, maybe she would be better off. I don't rely on her for much of anything, but she's always come through for me. I usually ask her what I want, and she sees if she can get it for me. But she'd be better off with me as a patient, with her as a patient, and me as the doctor. But that's just my opinion. Maybe not. Maybe I'm not so smart and don't know anything. I never discount that possibility. That kind of keeps me humble. Very few people consider me humble in any way, but I am. I have a lot of humility. I'm always open to the possibility that something comes along and shows me that I'm wrong about something I believed. I'll change it in a minute. I'm not married to any of that stuff. And interesting enough, I don't have anything really vested in it, although when you declare yourself a carnivore for so long and you start to stray from it in even the smallest ways, and if you don't believe this is true, just ask Kiltz right now. You catch hell for it. People think that you're a hypocrite. People think that evidently you don't know what you're talking about. Nobody knows that much about everything, that you can't have your mind changed. So sometimes the smartest people are the ones who can admit the enormity of what they don't know and be comfortable with that. And that's me. That's me. So that's the way it works. Peter says his HDL was only 40. Well, Peter, just keep doing what you're doing, and it's going to come up, and it's going to find a level commensurate with what your body thinks is necessary. Also keep in mind that blood tests have a margin of error. And 5 or 10 points in LDL in lipoprotein numbers from one year to another could just as easily be margin of error as any real change, because that stuff changes 1,000 times a second. It's not constant. It's like your blood sugar. You can measure it 10 minutes apart to be wildly different. These things are always like your foot on the gas pedal of a car. If I said to you, Peter, how far down is the gas pedal in your car pressed? You would have to say to me, well, at what instant? When I'm accelerating, when I'm braking, when my foot's off the gas, when I'm cruising at 65, at exactly what instant? And even at any given instant, you still make minor corrections in it. Well, that's what's happening to our numbers in our body. Our physiology changes 1,000 times a second. The machinery is always wearing away, and everything is always making adjustments. There's no normal. There's an average for a person, but when you have a blood test, you're taking a snapshot with a margin of error. So let's suppose the margin of error might be in a blood test might be 10%, and your cholesterol, your HDL is 40. So that means the margin of error is 4. So let's suppose that last year you had it taken, and the margin and the error went on the top end. So it came back 44. All right? Came back 44. And you think, well, what's your HDL? Well, my HDL is 44. And you go all year, strict carnivore, boy, I'm going to get that HDL up to 60, man. I know it. I'm going to get that HDL a year later. And let's suppose you actually manage to raise your HDL average over the course of that year by 5 points. Now, last year your HDL was really 40, but because of the error, the test said 45. This year, your HDL is really 45. Congratulations, Peter. But this year, the error went in the other direction. So what happened was your real HDL of 45 came back as 41. It knocked the 4 points off instead of adding it. So last year your test said 44, and you said, well, I could use some work. This year your test said 41, and you go, F that. I've been on Carnivore for a year, and it's gotten worse. I'm giving up. And poor Peter goes away. When in reality, you had a 10% gain in your HDL for your efforts over the year, but you don't know it because you let the stupid numbers dictate your attitude. We do that to ourselves all the time. And when you know how they do some of these tests and how they have to estimate the results based on other things, people get diagnoses of kidney failures because they eat meat, not because they have bad kidneys. And then they turn and blame kidney failure on too much meat consumption, when there's no kidney failure at all. There's more creatine as a byproduct of protein synthesis. And that's how one of the main kidney tests, glomerular filtration rate, is an estimate based on the creatine level in the blood. In reality, it has nothing to do with whether your kidneys are healthy. Your kidneys are healthy as hell. But the medical community extrapolates all these conclusions because of the level of something that pretty much has nothing to do with the kidneys and is caused by the fact that you eat more meat now. which is really what normal should be. The problem is all of our diagnoses and all of our numbers are based on unhealthy people. The ideal cholesterol levels are based on the majority of people who are sick with everything from cancer to diabetes. They're not a normal average of people that are healthy. There's 1% of us in this country that are healthy. So what are we trying to do when we keep getting these blood tests? What are we trying to do when we keep trying to adjust our lifestyle to fit the numbers of the sick people? We are guaranteeing that we will become sick people, and we'll let them give us the statins. Isn't this obvious to everybody? Thank you, Rant Man. You're welcome, Mitch. See, that guy's necessary. That guy's good to have around. So, don't sweat the small stuff. If we think we figured out at least a healthier way to eat, stick with it. That's the best you can do. And eventually, in a year, 2 years, 3 years, 5 years, it'll pay off. You know it's paying off because your weight's coming down. If you're a diabetic, you know it's paying off because you stop to get off insulin. Well, take the win. Take yes for an answer. Stop listening to the naysayers. Stop trying to second guess yourself and take the win. And be happy and live your life. And that may be a great way and some great advice from your old Uncle Mitch to close out this week and go into the weekend. Embrace your successes. Have patience. And try not to stray and fall off the wagon, because that's the thing that's destructive. Thanks, everybody, for coming. Thanks, everybody. Thanks, everybody. I see you're still ready to talk about numbers and cholesterol. Tell your doctor. If he has to write you a statin prescription, let him write the prescription. Just don't fill it. Do whatever you want. And don't say that Mitch told you not to take the statins, because I didn't. I'm telling you how I look at all these things, and if what I say makes any sense and logic to you, just factor them into your own decision-making process. Nobody should or has the right to tell you what you need to do. The best we have is to say to you, you might want to think about trying this. That is not an insult to your intelligence, judgmental in any way. I don't react badly to suggestions like that at all. But I do react violently to suggestions where people say, you're wrong, Mitch. What you need to do is, I say, yeah, I'm wrong. Go F yourself. Adios. Have a nice life. I don't want to ever know you or see you again. And that's the only way I can keep my sanity anymore. Mitch is like me. I hate alcohol. Oh, Rick. It's Rick. I think we'll have a contest with Rick. Rick, I think you probably would be an interesting exercise in psychology. I think that based on first observations, Rick may be, and Rick, I mean this in the most complimentary way, the single only human being on the planet Earth with absolutely zero vices. Now, if you got a vice of some kind, Rick, let me know. Otherwise, you may be the shining example of the perfect human being. And that's what 11 says right there. Rick is the Abraham Lincoln of carnivore. Yeah, I want to hear your take on it, how you think, because whatever device that's brought up, Rick, you say, I don't do that. I don't do that. Are you hiding something from us? I hope you have a few vices, because that would show me that you're human. I have a lot of vices. I'm happy to admit them. I put them on display. One of them is cigar smoking, you know. I love women. Yeah, I mean, just, I've done dumb things in my life for that. I'm a human being. I never met a person that had no vices. So, and I'm saying this it's not, I'm not being facetious, but I've just sincerely never met anybody who doesn't do any bad things. And I'm busted on you, Rick. You know that. You know that. I'm busted on you. But so much of that is admirable. So don't take it the wrong way. I just had to point that out. I'm sorry. Go for it. It's my attempt at humor. Brian, Mitch, seems like doctors are now not giving paper scripts. Not everything's done electronically now. No, you know, we're cutting pay. It's like finance. You know, who writes checks anymore? We're taking the paper out of it. It's all electronic. It leaves us open to so much fraud because there's no paper trail. No paper trail at all. And all it is whether a particular bit in some microscopic memory module somewhere is either magnetized or it's not, and your whole fortune can come and go if something screws up. Hopefully they have security and backups and everything in there, but that's what scares me about cryptocurrency. You have no proof that you have any money whatsoever, except digital. And I don't want to live in a digital world. I'm sorry. That's too much like the Matrix to me. I still like the feeling of cash in my hand or gold or anything tangible, not just vaporware. Oh, at any rate, it's 8:30. I well overextended my welcome this morning, so we play a little happy music for you. And with that, let's just say goodbye to your friends in the chat. Still got over 100 people here. Thanks for coming, guys. Thanks. I hope you have a great Friday. I'll be lurking out there over the weekend. Be lurking. And gonna work on my how to make ribeye out of chuck steak experiment today. It may or may not work. I may or may not actually get a video out about it, but I am going to get to work on it. I'm going to relax this morning, have my cup of coffee with my leucine in it, watch the replay, and then I'm going to get to work. And more than likely the video will come out tomorrow, because the deadline for today would be 2 o'clock to get the maximum exposure, and I doubt I'd get it done by then. I don't want to have to work under pressure. So, good to see everybody. Everybody's saying goodbye. All great friends. Looks like I scared Rick away. Did I scare Rick away? He hasn't been here in a while. He may not even heard my thing about it. No, I don't guess he did. Or else we pissed him off earlier. I like Rick. Interesting guy. Might tune into his live stream tomorrow morning for a little while. Say hello. Okay, my friends. Here comes the end of the music. And that'd be the end of me for the week. I will see you all Sunday morning, where we have our open panel, open to everybody, live stream. Always have a good time. 7 o'clock. I want you all to have a great weekend. And don't do anything I wouldn't do. I don't know what that might even be, but for 2 days, take today and tomorrow off. Just as long as you're around for Sunday morning. And eat meat.